listeners locally, those in the region, and those following us further away via the World Wide Web. Welcome to the program. It's Sunday, 23rd day of September 2019. Remember, you can call us here on our numbers 318-2722 for a live call if you have questions or comments, or you have a topic you'd like to introduce to the listeners. 318-2722, or you can send me a text message on 318 or 319-5453. Well, today, as I say, Sunday, September 23rd, another wet day here in Statia. At least started out wet, lots of rain overnight and in the early morning hours, and later this morning as well. And well, right now the sun is shining, but it's of course much cooler than the very hot days we've had in the last few days as well. Well, last weekend we were preparing very well for tropical storm or hurricane Jerry that's passed our islands well to the north, and we did not have much effect from that on Friday evening when it supposedly passed us by here in Statia. And now, according to the National Hurricane Center, Jerry is now located 100 miles south of Bermuda, so no threat to these islands here, and will probably lead off into the Atlantic. But there are other activities in the tropical zone. There is also a tropical storm Karen, which is brewing in the southern islands. So islands like Trinidad and Tobago are feeling the effects of tropical storm Karen at this time. And also there's something coming off the coast of Africa, and it says that satellite images show that the thunderstorm activity associated with tropical storm wave that has moved off the west coast of Africa this morning is quickly becoming better organized. And so folks in these islands are advised to keep a close watch on that, because the potential for formation through 48 hours is 90%, and the formation chance through 5 days also high at 90%. So that's a potential risky development there, storm that could head our way in the next week or so. So we have to keep an eye out on that, and see that the activity in the tropical zone is very active at this time, with lots of storms both in the Atlantic area and also in the Pacific region. Lots of storms at this time, so keep your eyes out and keep your preparations intact for what may come. Let's continue with a story from this week's that the police corps St. Martin mourns the death of a colleague, Eric Wheel. I will read this article from the Daily Herald of Wednesday, September 18. And it says that the St. Martin Police Force, KPSM, announced the death of Inspector Eric Wheel in a press release on Tuesday. It is with great sadness that the management and staff of the Police Force of St. Martin announced the unexpected death of our beloved former colleague and friend, Inspector Eric E.F. Wheel. Wheel had served in the police force for more than 46 years, having worked in St. Martin and in Statia. Over the years, he retired about 2 years ago. Wheel was the team leader at the traffic department for many years. He has been a role model and mentor for many of the younger officers working under his command. He was very hard-working, reliable, and loyal to the police force, and he will be sorely missed. Deepest sympathy goes out to his entire family and all friends, according to a press release by the St. Martin Police Force. And so we extend our condolences also to friends and family of Mr. Eric Wheel, former police officer who also worked here Stacia. Okay, in other news developments this week, well, first of all, I must say my guest colleague, Mr. Ra Anod, is not here again today. I'm not sure about his whereabouts, but I know in the past weeks he was supposed to travel to Bonaire for medical attention, so I'm assuming that he is still on his medical leave. So we wish Mr. Ra well and hope he'll join us again soon. Well, in the news this week, well, lots of activities this week in the news relating to our island station. Let's see if we have a call there. Good afternoon, caller.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
When it is Mr. Knaps is coming?
Mr. Knops.
Yeah.
Well, State Secretary of Kingdom Relations, he'll be here. According to the news reports, he should be in station today, Sunday, until Tuesday. So he'll be here 48 hours.
You should have had him on the program there, man.
Well, would have been good to talk to him.
I hear the town hall meeting only going to be for an hour tomorrow. Go play an hour.
Well, I guess he's just coming to make a few announcements. Says 7:30 to 8:30, according to news reports. 7:30 to 8:30 Monday evening at the Lions Den. He'll be having a town hall meeting. But
So number one thing will have no election. The first thing they want to have a lot of projects to do next year, and then get you to do this year, and this and that and other.
well, I don't know. You know, the second chamber in Holland is pressuring to have elections, eh? So if he succumbs to the pressure from the second chamber,
Well, the
Don't be
Democrats
too
want
sure.
elections.
well,
so
a lot of
maybe
people want elections.
we might have the election.
A lot of people want elections, so let's wait and hear what he has to say tomorrow night.
But it's going to be under a lot of rules, though.
Well, I guess it's going to come with conditions,
Yeah.
so we're going to have to wait and see what conditions and whether it would make sense to even participate.
I think they're going to spin it too. They're going to have spinning.
Yeah?
Yeah, all of that
Okay.
will come up.
Well, we'll hear.
If you have a bad record, you won't be able to run.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, we'll hear all of that tomorrow night.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to hear about it. Because the hour is nothing.
It's not much,
time
but
they, every time they come over the station, they have you up an hour, half an hour, and they're gone.
yeah.
I
Well,
don't agree with that at all.
well, the news reports that there'll be opportunity for questions still, so I guess he's going to make his short announcements, whatever he has to announce. And I guess most of the announcements will be about the elections. He doesn't have much more to talk about. He doesn't have to talk about roads. He doesn't have to talk about all the other stuff that's going on because we hear nothing has changed in that area. So I don't think he has anything new to add to those things. So I
Well,
guess,
I hear my partner Rasted Badman.
yeah.
Yeah, I hear so. I don't know what to say, but he keep it silent. I haven't seen him for a long time. I just hear that he went on the plane and that.
Well, like I said, he was supposed to go to Bonaire 2 weeks ago after the program. He told me that. He was to go to Bonaire for doctors to have a look at him and try to get in touch with him, but I'm not getting through to him at all. So let's hope for the best that he returns soon.
Yeah, I hope for the best, man. That's the partner, man.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing you don't.
Hello.
You know what I mean?
Why is it there?
Only thing you don't believe in God, but
Yeah, well, that's
still a good man.
That's his choice.
Yeah. That's a funny choice too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyhow, I'll call back later.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so as the caller mentioned already, Mr. Knops, State Secretary of Kingdom Relations in charge of these islands here in the West, Should arrive in Statia today, according to the news report. Should arrive in Statia today and will be here until Tuesday. No exact time given for his arrival and departure. But also a town hall meeting is announced for tomorrow, Monday, the 23rd, from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Lions Den in Concordia. So general public's interested can go out and hear what Mr. Knups has to say. As I mentioned a while ago, the most important thing, interesting thing should be the elections, whether they're going to be held, because he promised that he would make a decision on that in September this year. On all the other things that are going on, roads, etc. Well, nothing new to report there. Good afternoon, caller.
Mr. Smith.
Hello.
This is the Big Mouth Black American.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
Thank God for life.
That's good.
Thank God for life.
What's on your mind today?
Let me start. We're going to start here today.
Mm-hmm.
So, Knup saying in about the answer. Today is what, the 17th or the 18th or something like that?
No, today is the 23rd.
So I slow. Yeah, I slow. So, he sent a message, nothing.
Message concern, well, he's coming to say what he have to say here, in person.
Maybe he ain't gonna come here.
Well, the report say he's going to be in Statia today until Tuesday.
Okay.
And tomorrow evening there'll be a town hall meeting.
Let's hope Knup bring some good news to us here in Statia, because we already take a licking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we already take a licking, and I don't like to get beat. You understand?
Okay.
I don't like nobody to advantage me. So let's hope something good come out of this whole situation. You know? Most of all, I would like most Statia people to open their mouth, be more vocal.
Mm-hmm.
You know? If you're sitting down home and don't open your mouth, we ain't gonna get nowhere. Then that's why they gonna always do us what they want. But if we open our mouth or we go down the road and we protest, they got to respect us here. Okay? So I ain't want to talk too much today or whatever have you, but I just want more people. I want to call a lady named Miss Brown. I know you're listening, Miss Brown. Talk. Use a mother to all over here in Statia. Yeah. Use a mother to all over here in Statia, Miss Brown. Talk. Open your mouth, Miss Brown. Yeah. Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. So let me ask the technician, are we on Facebook today or
Yeah, Facebook and
YouTube? Yeah, so on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, so the town hall meeting tomorrow evening, 7:30, 8:30. So go out and hear what Mr. Knups has in store for Statia. And, well, and I guess, as we say, everyone will be looking out for that, to hear what he has to offer. Well, this past week, I think, yes, this past week was also, we mentioned the presentation of Dutch government budget for the next year, 2020. Mentioned that last week, so-called Prinsjesdag, when the king gave us his throne speech, and also the budget presented for the coming year. And also interesting for us, what's in that budget for 2020 for the islands. Well, we saw in the pictures a very different looking King Willem Alexander, very bearded, started to grow a beard. I don't know what if he's protesting something. People usually grow beards when they protesting something. We're not accustomed to seeing him like that. The king of the Netherlands. So don't know whether he's protesting something or he's representing some cause with his facial hair. But anyway, he gave his throne speech this week, and for the Caribbean islands, at least for the Bonaire, Saba and Statia, well, again, they announced, that they are going to be spending quite a lot of money in the islands in the coming year, because these are all projections of what they want to spend. There's no guarantee that all of this money is actually spent in the islands, because a lot of time projects are delayed, projects are postponed, and plans are changed. But I think for the coming year, it was announced that they plan to spend something like 388 million euros for the islands. Well, more or less in line with what have been spent in the past years. Of course, last year and the year before we had the effects of the hurricanes and so on, so the spending was a little more than usual. But the next year they're saying 388. Again, no guarantee that this is budgeted projections. We usually don't hear much about the actual spending, so how much was actually spent when the Dutch government make up their annual accounts. But these are just projections amount what they hope to spend. But they're also going to be making money. I think for this year they are projecting to collect around 157 million euros in taxes and other revenues from the islands. So close to 40% at least of the money they will spend will be financed by taxes and other revenue from the islands themselves. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith.
Good afternoon,
Big Mo
sir.
Black American again.
Yes, sir.
So, the cliff. Yeah?
Yes.
I think this is what here. I don't know nothing because me in the office, I don't know. But I hear 10 million was spent to do that cliff kind of thing.
Yeah.
And according to your mind, if you watch and you look, you think that cost 10 million?
Well, I can't judge that,
But who going to judge for us?
The company
The company going to judge for us?
company don't have to judge for us, but yeah, it's a lot of technical work. Maybe you don't see all that is
Mr.
being
Smith,
done, but yeah,
Mr. Smith,
I don't know.
Smith,
Yes, sir.
I thought.
Hello. Okay. Call cut off. Caller, you can call again to finish your statement. Yeah, the cliff project, well, we hear it's costing about 10 million or more dollars or euros. Of course, it's not easy to see that amount of money being spent on a small area. So you think, yeah, it's an area of a few hundred square meters. Why does it has to cost so much money? But there's a lot, perhaps that we don't know about the technical aspects of these kind of projects. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, Mary.
Yes, sir.
I go and listen good tomorrow to hear what is what.
Mm-hmm.
If they have an election, I gonna be like a pit bull around the place.
Yeah.
I want the people to get the mandate.
Okay.
I push in England Smith.
All right.
I don't care who works about it. I vote for a man where you could reason with, where you could talk with. So all who were there, I see them doing nothing. So some people say the glad Holland there because when you put your local politician there, you can't talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got no time for you. They like the foreign. You're going to get the foreign man a bigger job than you. You out and the man is your boss.
Yeah.
So now we got to start looking for your own state of people.
Well, I guess some foreign gonna be there still, because
Yes.
I guess Mr. Franco since he ain't going nowhere, so.
Yeah, Franco gonna be there. I know we're gonna be controlled by
Mm-hmm.
Holland still. But then I gonna ask the people then to give you the mandate, Mr. Glenn Smith. If we get a seat, 300-400 votes are good enough for us.
Okay.
We will have the key. So now we decide what is what. That is all. I just waiting to hear we're gonna have election. Then I gonna start up just now.
Hey, must
I know
start up.
a lot of people gonna be wrecked with me. But I gonna be like a pit bull run the place.
Well, Common Sense departments have work to do.
Yes, I have a lot of work to do. So after the elections, you could say that Eddie Spanner push you on there.
Mm-hmm.
You're sure to that.
Well, that was,
Anytime you hear Eddie Spanner on your side, you got 99% chance of getting in.
okay, well, that sounds good then.
I could tell you that. So we just wait to hear what will happen tomorrow night. We announce the election, we are on the move. Before the Christmas, we are on the move.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Smith, later.
All right. So elections will usually held.
Right on.
All right. Thank you. Elections usually held in the month of March, so we'll have about 6 months to get the job completed. Yes, I was talking about the budget for the Antillian, for the Caribbean, Netherlands islands. The what you call the vrije uitkering, which is the free allowance that the islands get, that pot remains the same at 42 million euros. Yeah, so that too is a strange development, you know, that pot hasn't changed for several years now, remains at 42 million euros, although the islands complain time and time again that that amount of funds is not sufficient to carry out their tasks. So I don't know how the Dutch government is evaluating these things. You know, the islands have been complaining for years that the free allowance is not sufficient. I mean, I don't know, not even some indexation, you know, to cover the cost of living increase. And there needs to be some structural change to the amount as well. So you need cost of living adjustment, and plus you need some structural, because you have changes in population, you have changes in different structural expenses. You know, the structural amount should be increased over time. So that keeps the pressure on the local government, you know, that the local government does not have much financial room to maneuver, to do things, to initiate projects or activities, you know, to do anything for the local population. So everything that we need to do here in terms of projects and developments has to be in form of a direct project coming out of Holland. You need to submit projects, you know, and those things takes long process, you know. As a local government, you should have some local financial space that you can initiate some activities, some local projects for the benefit of the community. But they are keeping apparently this tight lid on the islands, you know, and not allowing the islands to have much financial space to maneuver. Yeah, and then as a local government, you know what, yeah, it doesn't bode well for the functioning of government, because all you can do basically with the monies you get is pay your salaries, and after salaries, which eats up maybe 60-70% of the total, after that all you can do is pay your utility bills, pay your light bill, your phone bill, and your pension fees, and your other everyday routine expenses, groceries and that type of thing. And after that there's very little left, you know, for you to undertake any kind of project to say, well, we're going to do something extra for the local people or for a local group, a particular group, you know. So yeah, it's an ongoing discussion, I think, since 2010 when we got in this status. I know that's been a point of contention, that the funds provided to the islands just not sufficient, but the Dutch government seemed to be keeping a tight lid on that. In the news this week, it was also mentioned that the Orange Bay Road, the road to the bay, going there right off the Kingswell, that the road section there is going to be repaired. They're saying now that the Bay Road, which is one of the most heavily trafficked roads on the island, is going to be the last road to be fixed. So I don't know what that last road means, whether it means the last of the coming 2 or 3 years or the last of the next 20 years. As I mentioned last week, for the next 15 years we're probably going to be talking about fixing roads. So when they say the Bay Road is going to be the last road, I'm wondering if they're talking about the last in the next 5 years or the last in the next 15 years. Because of course now you have a lot of extra traffic over the Bay Road because of the projects going on in the harbor, where they're expanding the container laydown area, etc. But the Bay Road is always going to be heavily trafficked. That's where our harbor is, our port. So you always have commercial traffic besides the hotels, the tourist traffic. You have a lot of commercial traffic, cargo back and forth, containers back and forth. So traffic on that road is never going to ease up. Of course, that section there off the Kingswell, is a horrible piece of road going around the bend there. So if they're going to do something with that in the meantime, it'll be a good thing. But I think they should also consider beyond some other sections of that road also need, just before you reach at the end of the slave path there, that section there in front of the dive shop also needs some urgent attention. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes. Mary,
Yes, sir.
my advice to you, tomorrow, try get to meet Mr. Knaps
Yeah.
and bring up all of these things about cost of living, old age pension, and all of this. So
Okay.
it looks like all the rest politicians afraid to talk. I know Coast and Faith, Coast will be there. But I
Okay.
want you to be there too. Somebody
No.
got to explain this man what is what. And he got to give an answer.
Well, Mr. Knops, I don't think you'll have much time for discussing cost of living and that type of stuff.
Well, I don't know. Just make the
So-
same. That's all. I just tell you to
You
do
see,
that.
he's reserving just an hour to
Well,
meet
okay.
with the public.
Well-
But anyway, we'll see.
Well, you be there. Have a coat and tie and be there.
Yeah.
Don't leave nobody. I put you there to represent the people them. So when I talk, I could say Dan Smith was there.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
you do that for me, please.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, later.
Okay, so the Orange Bay Road. So, well, we're going to see. I don't know how soon they didn't say how that is going to be tackled by the public entity, when exactly it's going to be done. But apparently they're giving that a little priority to have that section of road fixed there opposite the Kingswell. In the news this week, we also see the Governor de Graaf School, that's our government public school, in search of a new director for our Governor de Graaf School. So persons who may be interested in a director position should contact the school board. I see that the president of the school board is Mr. Irving Brown, and Secretary Diana Cumberbatch. I don't know if that's the lady who's the midwife, but she's the secretary of the Governor de Graaf School Board, and President Irving Brown. And telephone number 318-4320-4320 for a director position of the Governor de Graaf School. You're listening to Homeland Defense Live on Radio Station, or 318-2722 is the number you can call, 2722. Or you can send a text message on 318-319-5453. Well, I wasn't able to prepare myself very well for today's program, but we see this past week too, Stuco has been fixing some water leaks in different parts of the island. Yeah, so, and again, they keep mentioning, the M&O project, when M&O came here to fix, to lay down our water distribution network. Well, seems that a lot of the work that was done by M&O was not, I won't say it wasn't done right, or quality of the work. There was no supervision, to see whether the work was done properly. So now we have all these water leaks that are popping up all over the place. And I see here that they've been in the Concordia area fixing water leaks. I think also down in the area of Forturania, where we've seen work being done several times also pertaining to water leaks. And I guess by now it's been 5, 6, 7 years, I think, since M&O completed the project and left. I guess they cannot be held accountable anymore for this project. Their guarantee period is probably expired, so the cost of fixing all these leaks will just fall on the company Stuco itself. And of course that's very costly, because besides repairing the infrastructure, the pipes, etc., you also in the process lose a lot of water. A lot of water goes to waste, and that wastewater too has to be paid for. So this water leak problem is costing the company quite a lot of expense. And as I say, apparently M&O cannot be held responsible for it anymore. Good afternoon, caller.
Hello.
Good afternoon, caller. Go ahead.
What about the advisory board, the 15 members?
What about them?
Yeah, I don't hear about them no more.
We don't hear much from them at all. Well, we never heard anything from them really since they've been put in place. Unless individual members who speak out sometimes.
Nobody.
What is your concern about the advisory board?
Huh?
What is your concern about the advisory board?
Yeah, they want to know what's going on in the island. Everything is quiet. Nobody saying nothing.
Well, apparently the advisory board advises Franco and Stahers. They don't advise the general public.
That's a funny board too.
Well, so since they've been put in place, we've been asking for information and we've never gotten anything, and it's much about 1.5 years now since they're in place. So I don't expect to hear anything. Well, in my meeting with Staker some time ago, he did mention that some of the members were going to be replaced. And that too, I did not hear anything in the news about that, that whether members were replaced and some members were going to resign. So, like I say, the advisory board is apparently advising the commissioners, Franco and Stahers, and not bringing any information out to the public. So, don't think we should expect much from the ex-advisory board going forward. In the news this week also, we had, one or two items from Curacao. We see Curacao police on strike, which is a serious development down there. Police are striking for their labor conditions, and no idea how long that is going to last. And also we see Curacao also fails its audit with the International Civil Aviation Organization. So that is the organization that controls the international airline industry, and Curacao has failed that audit there, and that can have serious consequences for airline traffic to that island, and that can also affect the other islands as well. Some time ago, Curacao also was downgraded by the Federal Aviation Administration in the United States, because their systems and laws were not up to par. So, and that had consequences for airlines operating out of Curacao. So I think for our islands here, we have to keep an eye on these developments there in Curacao, because failing the ICAO audit, can have consequences for air traffic, to our islands as well. And I hope and assume that the Dutch government, airline authorities, ministries are keeping an eye on that situation there. Well, the caller talked earlier about the Fort project, and what it is costing to put that project down. Well, here in Statia, we always, well, not always, but a lot of times, we have these projects. Of course, Statia is small, and so the area where these projects are carried out often are also small areas. And when you hear these projects cost so many millions of dollars, well, sometimes you just can't comprehend, why a project that's seemingly so small, costs so much money. Well, this week I was down at the harbor area, and I looked out over the area where they're supposed to be expanding the container laydown area. They transported all these big rocks from the hills and took them down to that harbor area. And when I look out over that area, I don't really see the expansion. I don't even see where all the rocks have gone. The area that I see is covered with dirt. It doesn't look like much of an expansion of the container laydown area to me. So I have to take another good look at the area there. Because, okay, that is not so many million, but I think it's a $1 or $2 million project to expand the container laydown area. But I don't see, in my perspective, I don't see much additional square meters, much additional area, maybe a few meters width, but yeah, for the cost of the project, I don't really see, where all the expansion is going to come in terms of container storage area. That harbor area, that harbor that we have down there, the pier, and so that was a 11 million guilder project. Also in those days we say, oh, why should a project like that cost 11 million guilders? Well, part of it was breaking down the old pier that we had, and I'm sure that cost a lot of money to break that down and to remove all the debris, and then to build this. And then they had to bring all these big rocks they brought out of, I think, in Europe. They brought these big rocks to the island. Transporting them also costs a lot of money. So yeah, 11 million guilders in the little pier that you see there. You don't see 11 million, but it's all the cost of all the other things that have gone on. Like I say, breaking down the old pier, that was a pier of concrete and steel. You have to blow that up and get it out of the water and dispose of it. Yeah, and bringing those rocks from Norway or wherever they brought them from in Europe, transporting them all the way to Statia, that's a big chunk of the money there. But the little pier that we have here, that we have there, probably a few $100,000. Yeah, that's maybe 1 million or 2 million out of the 11 million. So also with the fort, 10 million, sounds like a a lot of money, but there's a lot of money being spent on things that you don't readily see on the cliff. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
I go to the doctor. The doctor say, well, I would like to send you to Colombia. They say you would prefer go St. Kitts.
Mm-hmm.
That could work?
Of course, you can express where you prefer to go. Whether they're going to comply with your request is another story.
All you got to do is bring back all your bills and you get back the money from the government. I figure that's the best deal.
Well, you can also go to St. Kitts on your own and then come back and try to get money back from them. That can work sometimes, not always.
Yeah, but you got to have money to go St. Kitts. If you don't have financially money, a problem.
Well, so like I say, you can request to go somewhere, but it's up to ZFICA to decide whether they're going to allow you to go there or not.
The charge is Colombia. Problem.
The what?
It's coming a problem. The distance is too far.
Okay.
That's causing a lot of people to die of. You got people going to Colombia, they're still sick, and they can't get to go back.
Well, it depends what your health issue is. You know, St. Kitts cannot help everything. It's not for every sickness you can go to St. Kitts and get help.
St. Kitts got just as good doctors down there.
They have good doctors, but it's not even though every island is not equipped. You know, Colombia is a much bigger country, have a lot more specialists. St. Kitts is not fully equipped, St. Martin is not fully equipped, even Curacao is not fully equipped. So for certain things, you just have to go further.
But I'm trying to tell you the distance is too far.
Yes, I understand that. I understand the traveling distance is a problem for a lot of patients.
So I know a partner of mine live in Colombia. And
A partner of yours leaving what?
he live in Colombia tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And he till Tuesday
Okay.
on a 1 o'clock flight.
Okay.
So you see, that is the problem. St. Kitts is only 10 minutes.
But can he get the same treatment in St. Kitts what he getting in Colombia?
The same treatment he could get.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's a money-making thing with the Dutch, with Colombia or what.
Well, it's always a money issue, man. Money is always involved.
Every time the Dutch doing something, they try to gain in something for it. Well, very good about it, very good about it. But anyhow, tomorrow you go here about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's enough for the day for me.
All right, take care.
Right.
Yeah, so again, folks, you're listening to Homeland Defense Live. You have a few minutes left on the program. 318-2722 is the number you can call, and or send a text message on 318 or 319-5453. Another issue that came up in the past week, speaking to someone in the community, I think a few weeks ago we had an issue of a story in the news about from Stinapa. We'll try to get in touch with Stinapa to get a follow-up on it. The issue about some snakes on the island, and some people in the community are concerned about the situation with these snakes and not knowing, what the situation is, because there were supposedly sightings of strange snakes on the island, and Stinapa, I think, published an article, asking folks that if you see any strange-looking snakes on the island, to contact them so that they can investigate whether these snakes are friendly snakes that support our ecosystem here, or whether they are invasive species. And if they are invasive species, then we need to get rid of them. I have not heard about any follow-up report on that, but speaking to someone, it was said that they supposedly caught 2 of these snakes, whether they were determined to be friendly species or whether they are dangerous invasive species. Yeah, I don't know. We'll try to get in contact with Stinapa to get a follow-up on that. But the issue of foreign species coming into the island, I think, is a serious matter that need to be taken up not only by Stinapa, who looks into our nature, but also our public health department needs to say something about these things, because this can be a very dangerous situation. As to the source, I mean, there are all kind of stories of kind of things going around, folks, on how these snakes are coming into the island, whether they're coming in containers or in pipes that are coming from other countries, whether some say they're coming in the sand that is being brought in to the island from wherever the sand is coming from. I think this is a public health issue that the health departments need to get involved in this. We've seen what invasive species can do in other parts of the world. We know in Aruba they're having a big problem down there with snakes that are basically ravaging their ecosystem there, and especially affecting the bird population. A lot of birds are being killed by these snakes. The point is, they are also an invasive species that don't belong in the Aruba ecosystem, but these things, they multiply very rapidly, and so before you know it, you have a real big problem on your hand. And so you need to address this matter early on, and make sure what you're dealing with, and in any case, see to it that these reptiles do not multiply themselves in the island, and if there is no need for it. Some time ago we had a lot of talk about an invasive iguana species, some strange iguana that somehow came into the island, and that could decimate the local Antillean iguana, and that was a danger. We heard a lot of stories about that, and there was a program to identify and catch the invasive species so that they do not do too much damage to the local iguanas. Well, lately, in the last few months, we haven't heard much about that iguana program, so I'm hoping that it is under control, since we're not hearing much about it. But an invasive snake problem to me would be a much bigger problem, because we have local snakes on the island. We don't see them much, but we know that our snakes are very friendly snakes. They usually run from you rather than attack you, and they are not poisonous snakes. And so these invasive species, if they are poisonous animals, we need to know exactly what is happening and what is going on. So I think from a health perspective, we need to hear something from government, about the risks involved and what is exactly being done, and if some of these snakes were caught, if it was determined in any way that they are dangerous species or poisonous snakes, and what the public at large have to look out for. Not only Aruba had a problem, many other parts of the world, in Florida and the United States, they have a problem there with invasive snake species. St. Martin and other islands in the past also had many stories of snakes that were caught in private places or public places. You see, a lot of time folks have these animals for pets, and when they grow big and they can't handle them anymore, they just let them go. They don't call a organization where they take them to the zoo, or call a nature organization like Stinapa and say, well, I can't handle my animal no more, take it over from me and do something with it, or destroy it, or whatever the case may be. Some people just irresponsibly just let these things out in loose, let them loose, yeah? and then they become a problem to the community. And again, like I say, if they are able to multiply, then you have a much bigger problem on your hands. I remember many years ago, I think more than 20-30 years ago, when I was living in Holland, there was a story about a man here in Statia who brought an alligator to the island. Yeah, he brought an alligator to the island as a pet, and somehow or the other, this alligator, I'm talking from a story that I heard when I was very far away, so maybe there are folks out there who know about this better than I, and can call and correct me if I'm saying something wrong. But I understand in the past that happened, that folks brought one or two of these alligators to the island, and eventually they were found out in the wild, and I think they were shot eventually. So like I say, folks, they sneak these things in, either in luggage or in cargo. They bring them in unknown to authorities to have them as pets, and when, like I say, they can't handle them anymore, they just let them out in the wild. But it can be a dangerous thing and can cause loss of life or serious injury to folks. So these are things that we need to pay close attention to. Smuggling of animals and these dangerous pets and exotic pets, is something that happens quite a bit around the world, so we need to pay attention to that. But again, like I say, tomorrow, God's willing, I will contact Stinapa to see if there's any follow-up on the snake story, and to see what additional information they can give on that, and I will report that in a future program. And anyone that has additional information on this can also let us know about that. Well, folks, we just have 2 minutes left on our program, Homeland Defense Live, 318-2722, and again, remember this week, tomorrow, town hall meeting, you can attend that, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. I think there's also some activities going on in raising funds, etc., for the Bahamas, for the devastation there. I see the SDA school had a walkathon for the Bahamas, and I'm sure there are other organizations too who are collecting funds for relief efforts to the Bahama Islands. So you're encouraged also to make your contribution. Well, that's going to do it for today. We want to thank all our listeners who joined us today. Thank those who call in with their questions and comments. And we'll be back next Sunday, God's willing, for another program, Homeland Defense Live. I'm Glenn Smith saying bye for now until next time.